and human. Mr. Speaker, the CDF is truly a game changer. Just between 2022 and 2023, Pemba, we are going to deliver 47 classrooms. Mr. Speaker, we are going to install 23 water schemes by the end of this year. 5 number houses, Mr. Speaker, will be delivered. This is a new dawn at work. 27 boreholes will be drilled and equipped with hand pumps. Mr. Speaker, we have managed to deliver 2,800 desks to our schools and rehabilitated, Mr. Speaker, the much talked about clinic called Habanyuka that was blown off. This clinic is in operation. This is all because of the CDF that has been enhanced. Mr. Speaker, with the CDF, by the end of this year, 2 deep tanks will be actually handed over to the community. Mr. Speaker, I'm a proud member of Parliament. With the utilization of the CDF, 177 clubs, cooperatives have been given resources. And what this simply means, Mr. Speaker, we are not just talking about 177 corporates and clubs. We are talking of households that have benefited, coming to 1,770. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. No, listen. He's looking like Madam Speaker. On the lighter note, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, very beautiful. Yes. Mr. Speaker, before I make any comment on the presidential speech, allow me to state here that there is a new wave of scramble for Africa. We have to open our eyes as we are doing our business. Mr. Speaker, the presidential speech, but before I say it, let me say that if you have 10 groundnuts and you have 4 which are rotten, and when you are eating together, all 10 will be affected. I therefore state here that the presidential speech, looking at what is currently happening to our majority Zambians who are poor, is not inspiring, does not give confidence and hope to our majority poor Zambians. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speakers, don't worry about that. The President talked about reducing the price of meal by proposing in his speech to coming up with the winter maize. By then, we are going to have enough maize in our country. Thereafter, the price of meal will come down. I totally disagree. I surely disagree. Why? Because the president did not talk about the high production of the same maize that we are talking about. How are we going to deal with the cost of doing business in the agriculture sector? I have the solution.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to give you.
Yes.
Listen, you question yourself and your mother.
Honorable member, take your seat. May you withdraw that word and apologize.
Madam, Mr. Speaker, I withdraw to question your mother. And I say sorry.
May you take your seat? Take your seat. Next, honorable member for Chinsali. You can continue, honorable member for Chinsali.
In debating this motion on the floor of the House, I will refer to what His Excellency talked about on page 4 of the speech. The President said, Madam Speaker, upon assuming office, our priority was to restore the rule of law, fix the economy by sealing leakages, introducing financial prudence, and maintaining macroeconomic stability for sustained growth. Mr. Speaker, when you look at what the President talked about as regards restoration of the rule of law as an issue that the UPND government prioritized, you will see that what has been happening is contrary to what can be referred to as restoration of the rule of law. The rule of law, to those who may want to be reminded, according to the Oxford Dictionary, okay, the rule of law means a political idea that all citizens and institutions within a country or a community are accountable to the same laws. And it is generally agreed that the rule of law prevails when the government itself is bound by the very law it establishes itself. What do I mean, Mr. Speaker? If we are saying that we are committed to upholding the rule of law, then we should ensure that the law should not be applied selectively. We have a situation where some members of this country or some citizens of this country, an example of the 6th Republican president, when he wanted to congregate on the Copper Belt, he was sent a battalion of police officers to stop him from attending a church service. There are people that have been stopped from traveling out of this country, Mr. Speaker. That is not rule of law. Another example is the president, the 6th president, Dr. Edgar Chagwalung. When he wanted to go to South Korea, he was stopped without any explanation that you never got permission. Any proper explanation that you never got permission that you were going out of the country. Do you need permission to go out of the country? So when you hear all those who are saying yes, then it is a clear demonstration that we as a government, we are failing in restoring the rule of law. We are failing, Mr. Speaker. Clearly, as demonstrated by those who are saying for you to move, you need permission, which means they are infringing the freedom of movement. for people. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, another issue that clearly shows that we are failing in restoring the rule of law. Where you are seated, Mr. Speaker, when the President was addressing this House and the nation, he stated here, and we all listened, he said to all those who are committing offenses, we shall prosecute. He further said we shall also persecute, Mr. Speaker. Now, when you look at the definition of persecution, persecution basically means that the act of treating somebody in a cruel and unfair way, especially because of their race, religion, ethnicity, tribe, or political beliefs. Why should we proudly say that we shall persecute people? There is nothing wrong with prosecuting those who commit offenses, but there is everything wrong with persecuting people. Mr. Speaker, I have left that topic, Mr. Speaker. I have now gone to the issue that was talked about regarding the restoration and maintaining macroeconomic stability. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about maintaining or restoring macroeconomic stability, a country...
Order. Let's avoid running comments and let's allow debates to flow so that as many people as possible should be able to debate. At the same time, don't insinuate to avoid people debating while seated. Let's be factual. Let's debate accordingly. We've got a report that we can refer to. It was circulated. Now, if we continue insinuating, I know we are politicians, people, there'll be acrimony in the House. So let's be issue-based. Let's debate accordingly. And let's stick to the report.
Thank you for the guidance. The good part is whatever I've said is on the handset, but I strongly value your guidance, Mr. Speaker. The issue of maintaining macroeconomic stability. I don't think Zambia at the moment is a country that can brag to say we have maintained macroeconomic stability. Mr. Speaker, an economy that has achieved a state of macroeconomic stability will be associated with factors such as low volatility of the exchange rate, low or moderate inflation rate, acceptable and appropriate interest rates, among other things. But when you look at the inflation at the moment, in as much as we can see from the Zambia Statistical Agency that the inflation rate was around 10.8% in August from 10.3% from July, what is actually obtaining is that the real inflation is very high. Look at the rate at which the price of mealie meal has gone up from 160 to 330, 350 now in Chinside. Our people are suffering, Mr. Speaker. These are the things that we need to talk about. Look at the exchange rate volatility from around 17 kwacha per dollar, getting to 21.5, 22 point something, 19 point something. So the rate of volatility is so high, which means there is no stability in the macroeconomic sector, Mr. Speaker. If you are to look at the fiscal deficit, yeah, thank you for the correction. Fiscal deficit is one of the factors that you have to look at when you are looking at macroeconomic stability. When you look at 2021, the fiscal deficit was about 8.1% of the GDP, Mr. Speaker. Look at 2022. The fiscal deficit was about 8.9, an increase of almost 0.8%. Yeah, 8.9% of GDP, which means the fiscal deficit went up. So what macroeconomic stability are we talking about? It's because of such a high fiscal deficit. That's why we have a problem in terms of implementing other government projects. In Chinsali, people are crying that Chinsali Mulilansolo Road is bad. The government is failing to work on it, but we need the government to work on it. Chinsali to Serenje is bad. We need the government to work on it. Mr. Speaker, with these few remarks, I end here.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for recognizing the good people of Solwezi. To add a voice on the motion that was ably moved. Mr. Speaker, a wise president came to this wise house to speak to the wise people. Only the unwise would not see sense from such a speech. Mr. Speaker, let me start by the conclusion that was concluded by the wise man. He said, the forward march to progress and prosperity must continue. The road may be bumpy, but we are on course. Ours is collectively a winning team. These are the words of the wise president who came to this house. Mr. Speaker, it is more prophetically actually to look at the ways that the wise man crafted here, the way forward. Okay? It's talking about forward march. Even when the children of Israel were getting into the promised land, they were told, move forward, not do not reverse, not going backwards. Despite the challenges ahead of them, the challenges in this case could mean the prices of meal going up, fuel going up, but because they are the captain who had the vision, they didn't relent. The captain said, move forward, let's go, because he had a vision. In this case, our president is a visionary leader. And the team that is leading has the vision, not where we saw people being led by a visionless leader who said it for himself that I have no vision. And, Mr. Speaker, we know it is said that without a vision, people perish. And this country was at the verge of perishing because the pilot had no vision. The country was on autopilot. It was about to crash until such a time that over 2 million people, Zambians, realized and joined hands to the visionary leader. It was going to be a mini Titanic. But thank God somewhere the people of Zambia realized that it was very, very important that we join a visionary leader. Mr. Speaker, there is a saying that a wise man's eyes are in his head. And borrowing a phrase from our colleagues from the Bembaland, they say, Mungulu. If you have no vision, Mungulu. Kwendo Mungulu. Wapone na Mungu ngulu. Nengulu shakuingela. Meaning if you have no vision, you move aimlessly like somebody would say, a headless chicken. Mr. Speaker, we need visionary leaders who have been in the doldrums trying to, prepare for 23 years. For 23 years, preparing to be a leader, meaning that leader has a vision. Mr. Speaker, I look at a few things regarding what the visionary leader talked about, the wise man. He talked about economic transformation and job creation. And he centered on the fact that productivity, value addition, and investment and trade, these are the pillars of economic transformation. And these must be done through the citizens. Who are these citizens? These citizens must be educated. These citizens must be empowered. And we are seeing that, Mr. Speaker. Just to add on that, the President talked about the resolution of the issues that surrounded Vedanta. And these have been resolved. And we are seeing that Copper Belt is coming to life because there is now job creation. No mining in court, as it is said. So, with the creation of jobs, it is these citizens that are going to be empowered, Mr. Speaker. We see indeed that even for the people of Northwestern, they are waiting for the resolutions surrounding the Kasensele gold mine, so that indeed we can also see life coming to Northwestern. Mr. Speaker, we have seen that indeed the President talks about this economic transformation with respect to the $300 million that is allocated to the farm blocks. And for us, the people of Northwestern, and in Mushindamo district in particular, we have a farm block there. And we know that the allocation that is going to come to our farm block will go towards the construction of the roads, building the skill centers, and powering the area so that we are able to grow food, so that we can bring the price of meal down. This is a visionary leader giving us that assurance. Mr. Speaker, we have seen indeed even the creation of a credit window so that even the civil servant, even us as members of parliament, we can benefit by getting that credit window, and we are able to be productive, to grow maize, to grow wheat, to be exporters. That is value addition. Going forward, we do not expect actually for people to come here and talk about meal, this and that, because the platform has been laid by our president. We see even through the SMEs, Mr. President, in my own constituency, through the Busulu and Marketia booster loans, our people have benefited. They are doing something. Through the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, we have seen even the creation of a fingerlings hub there. Our youths are now able to engage in meaningful productivity activities that will enhance fish production, and will be able to export even to the DRC, which is just our neighbor there. Mr. Speaker, the President talked about the aviation industry, and we have seen Kasama being an example there, Mansa very soon. And Northwestern, we are actually glad and happy that very soon we shall see a modern airport constructed and upgraded in Solwezi so that it can actually handle big aircrafts. That is indeed bringing transformation. Indeed, somebody is saying pineapple pandeke. That sounds good. Mr. Speaker, we have seen in the education sector, the President indeed is doing something. We have just been told that 4,500 teachers will be added, 3,000 health workers. And in my constituency already we are benefiting because 40 health workers have been allocated to Mushindamo district. Mr. Speaker, the President, who is wise, acknowledged the fact that yes, when it comes to medicine and medical supplies, we have been inadequately supplied. That is the wise President who is able to acknowledge the challenge. But he has said, we are not sitting idle. Something is being done to make sure that everyone is healthy. Mr. Speaker, not to bore you with a lot of words, I think these are the presidents with a vision that we need to support. Even up to the next 2041, we need to support a president with a vision. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Chinga.
I'm here to sing. I want to sing, so don't worry. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I want to start by saying that the best way of sorting out any problem is to acknowledge when there is a problem. When the President came here, he told this House that in these areas where there are problems, we are going to sort them out, and we are working to sort them out. That was very brilliant of our Republican President. Mr. Speaker, I should be protected. Somebody is beating me here. Mr. Speaker, on the rule of law, it's not today, Mr. Speaker, that the police has told somebody that you cannot congregate because you don't have a permit. These things started some time back. I'm one of those who were pushed out of the church. As simple as I was then, a villager, being told that you cannot congregate, you don't have a police permit. Mr. Speaker, let me talk about the road network, which the President talked about. We are very happy that the roads are being constructed, and the people of Muchinga are very much hopeful that they will have roads during the term of the New Dawn UPND government. Mr. Speaker, the only thing that I want to put to the attention of this House is that while government is spending a lot of money constructing roads, we have, on the other hand, left our roads to be destroyed by the tipper trucks that are loading up to 50 tons and gallivanting around in the roads, on the roads within Lusaka. Nothing has been done. Our roads are not safe. Our roads will not last. Government will continue wasting money on the roads if this is not attended to. Mr. Speaker, this is the government that has given hope to the rural people. Mr. Speaker, apart from CDF alone, many pronouncements that have been made have seemed to be taking shape in rural areas. Bridges are being constructed, Mr. Speaker. I am one person who will be a beneficiary of Acro bridges, 3 of them, Mr. Speaker. Why shouldn't I mention it on the floor of this House? Mr. Speaker, the work is being done. Of course, the people now are seeing that what they have lacked for a long period of time, where we are coming from, now is being seen to take place. Mr. Speaker, when you talk about peace and unity in this country, no doubt about it. Today I can sit with Honorable Munduwire without any fear. Back then, Mr. Speaker, it was not like that. This time you can go anywhere. I can go in any place with the PF regalia. No one is going to beat me. Mr. Speaker, that is peace. That is unity. I am serving as an MP in the northern part of Zambia. That's the unity that the President preaches about when he comes to address this nation and this House. Mr. Speaker, I only have got one thing also to mention on the CDF. CDF is doing very well. Mr. Speaker, somebody is putting something in my shoes. I should be protected, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are doing a lot of things using CDF. It's not a secret that CDF is a game changer. CDF is developing the rural parts of Zambia. There is no lying here, Mr. Speaker. This is the truth. Every MP goes out there and says, in my constituency, I will do a lot of things before 2026. The same MPs who are saying that CDF is a scam, they are appreciating CDF. What you are seeing here is just politics. And the people of Zambia should know that what you are hearing from here, especially from our colleagues in the opposition, is just politicking. But out there, they accept that CDF is doing things in their constituencies, Mr. Speaker. Yes, what you are doing here, you are just politicking indeed, because out there you are appreciating the CDF. So why can't you stand up here and appreciate what the CDF is doing? You just have to accept so that the people of Zambia should know that we are all benefiting. Mr. Speaker, I'm not politicking. The Zambians know that CDF has changed things. Just this morning, I was visiting about 58 students from the rural parts of Muchinga and Serenje who are at Lusaka trades. Who wouldn't have been there if the CDF was 1.6 million? Is that not development, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, I want to say that we have 3 secondary schools in Muchinga, 3 secondary schools. We have got Mailo Boarding School. It was started under the MMD when the late His Honor, the Vice President George Kunda, was MP. May his soul rest in peace. This is the time when the contractor is seriously working on the school to be completed. The last 10 years, nothing happened. Mr. Speaker, we have got Chivale Secondary School Day. As I'm speaking now, we can see works going on. All we ask from the government is just to make sure that these contractors should work according to the speed. And I'm sure that it will be done. This is what we call development. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Order. Honorable member from Fue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to add my voice on the presidential speech. Let me start by saying that the speech was not inspiring to me, and that is my opinion, Mr. Speaker, because the president has continued to make pronouncements that do not translate into policy. He was here, Mr. Speaker, delivering a speech, and he spoke about the rule of law. After the speech, Mr. Speaker, we saw a member of parliament being arrested in the grounds of parliament, breaking the same law. And these police officers were from State House. That is what I mean when I say that what he says and what he does is different. Because what we know is when the president makes a pronouncement, it's policy. And those people that are supposed to support him...
Order, honorable member. I think I've advised that let's stick to the presidential debate, because you can't substantiate that those people, police officers, came from State House. No one has got their job register. So let's just stick to what we know. We can't be saying, no, those police officers came from State House. I mean, where is the record that they came from State House? So let's just debate the presidential speech.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker. I was talking about the rule of law. For the very first time in this country, we have witnessed something that we have never witnessed, whereby even the respect for women and women's rights are violated by the UPND government. We have seen women being arrested and detained longer than they should be detained without consideration of the fact that they are women. We all know that women are sacred, and all of us seated here came from women. And for that matter, we respect women. And I'm not implying that women are immune to, and they are not supposed to be probed if they've done something wrong. But we all know that all those women that I'm talking about, they were arrested because they are politicians. And Mr. Speaker, we are very few women who have taken up this role of even being politicians. And we have been crying as women so that we can have more women join us. But with what is happening, it discourages even more women. So this is the rule of law that I'm talking about, that the president has always been pronouncing. And for me, he has failed in that area, lamentably. We had, for the very first time, like I was saying, we saw even the former First Lady being demeaned in such a manner. And for me, as a woman, I feel ashamed to even call myself a Zambian and a leader at this time, because what happened was not right. And I think the president must be told to say that even as women, we are not happy with such things that are happening to us. There are so many pronouncements that the president alluded to in his speech. And I'll also talk about the recruitment of teachers. I know that people talk about 30,000 teachers that were recruited. I highly doubt that the number was 30,000, because we saw that list. I don't want to go into details. Most of the names were appearing more than 4 times. But what I want to say on that issue is that I think for us as Lavshimanda Fue constituency, this time around, I'm appealing, especially to the Minister of Education, to ensure that when they are recruiting, they recruit people from our constituency. Because as we speak, Mr. Speaker, The people that were recruited in my constituency, we don't even know where they came from. Most of them came from Lusaka or elsewhere. And what has happened at the moment, Mr. Speaker, is that those people requested for transfers, they've been transferred. And those transfers were coming from up there. And what has happened is my people at the moment, for example, in Mpamaziwa, they do not even have a single teacher. All the secondary school teachers who were posted there, they never came from Lavshmanda. They failed to stay there, and they requested for transfer, and they've been transferred. So my request to the minister is that this time around, please consider the people of Lavshmanda. We have well-qualified teachers who were left out last year in the recruitment, and they are willing to work there and stay there because that's where they were born. Unlike bringing teachers from elsewhere, and then they fail to stay in Lavshmanda. I also want to talk about some of the pronouncements that were made. We were here and we were told now we are in the Champions League. And I've just been wondering what has happened. It means being in the Champions League, we are buying millimil at 350 kwacha. Fuel is at 30 kwacha at the moment. Electricity tariffs are out of this world. And the other pronouncement that I heard the president make was that we are prudent in our spending. And I was like, what? What's going on? When you found 1.3 billion in reserves, and within a year that money was used, we don't even know where the money went. You found maize in reserves that should have lasted for 3 years, even if we had a drought. That maize was sold, which has even made us to be buying millimil at a very high price. Is that prudent spending? We are exporting power. And today, PF works so much such that by now we should not even have been experiencing load shedding. But because they've chosen to be selling power out of the country, this time around we're experiencing load shedding. Is that prudence or methodical? Even on the issues of fertilizer. We were giving our farmers 6 bags of fertilizer. This time around last year, my farmers in Mfuwe were getting a medal each. And that's Champions League. And there's hunger today in Mfuwe. So I don't know what we talk about, and I don't know what these pronouncements mean. When we talk about debt, Mr. Speaker, PF borrowed 12 billion in 10 years. As we are speaking right now, we have 6 billion. And this is in the Champions League, just in 2 years. In the Champions League, we have borrowed 6 billion. Mr. Speaker, I also want to talk about the schools that have been purported to have been built. I'm wondering, because I come from Mchinga province and not even a single school has been built in Mchinga province. Maybe the president was talking about the classroom blocks that we have been building using CDF. And I wanted to make a correction. That's a classroom. It's different from a school. So if you are talking about a school, for example, in Mfuwe, we were told that a school will be built even up to today. That school has never been built. So my question is, where are those same schools that have been built? The truth is, in Mchinga province, we have not even seen one school. Even the school that my mother was talking about was started by PF, and it has not been completed. So what schools are we talking about? Where are those schools? Maybe they are in the Western province or somewhere else. But for me, I have not seen a single school in Central province. I have not seen a single school that has been built in Copper Belt and also in Mchinga. The other methodical thing is that there is hunger.
Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honorable member from Bawala.
Mr. Speaker, it was a point of order because of the liars being propagated from the other side. So I already debated on Friday. I was rebutting a number of liars which were being propagated this side.
Honorable member for Nalikwanda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. for giving me time to speak on the motion on the floor. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the debt issue. One of the items which the President stated in this speech was the debt issue. Our colleagues on the other side have been talking about the debt, which they can't elaborate. Between 2011 and 2021, these people had borrowed about $12 billion. Let them tell us in what items they invested this money in. We expected them to invest in roads, schools, dams, energy, but I can assure you, there's nothing I can tell that in Narikwanda they did this or that. So the President stated that our balance sheet is not even balancing. Meaning, when you have a huge debt under there of 12 billion, you expect assets on the top. Now, if you are not able to see these assets, let those people on your left, sir, tell us where they took the money. We can't tell where the money went. Now, government being a going concern, even if there's a change of government, the new government has to take over all the debts which the other government left. What did the UPND do? They took over the 12 billion. And they went to the creditors, sat down with them, negotiated with them. One day, we are not able to pay this money. Look, our colleagues, they were not even able to pay the interest. So can you allow us to sit down with you with the structure, so that we are able to breathe a bit. What did they do? They agreed. We are being told that this money will be paid over a period of 13 years, 14 years. If you restructure in the business world, you go to the bank today, you borrow money, 2 years down the line, you say, I'm not able to pay. Can you increase the tenure? They'll tell you that we are not, we are agreeing with the tenure, but we have to increase the interest rate. Now, in this case, because our people, they know what they were doing, the tenure was increased, but the interest rate was reduced. These people on the other side of the House, Mr. Speaker, they can't appreciate that. If they were to come back into power, I would say we should never, they should come and consult us so that they will tell them how to negotiate. Yes. So our colleagues failed. So the way forward, Mr. Speaker, the way forward is the PPP. The PPP is a method where a government agency collaborates with the private sector for investment. Madam Speaker, those are the people who failed. They know where they took the money. So they failed, they shared the money maybe. So we are telling them that the PPP is the new method of investment. Like now, we are looking at it, the Ndola Lusaka Road. We are not asking any money from anywhere, but the investor will invest. And they will run the property for a period of 25 years. It will allow the government to look at other things which cannot be used for PPP. Maybe, let me elaborate. When you go under PPP, the investor will construct the property, will operate it, maintain it. At the end of the tenure, will bring back the asset to the government. Mr. Speaker, that's the best way we can go. Because if we were to not go for PPP, where do we get the money for investment? Because our colleagues left a debt. Now, because we are going for PPP, in the coming budget, I'm very sure the Minister of Finance will be able to increase the amount for CDF, so that in Narikwanda, Mr. Speaker, I will be able to construct clinics for our people. In Narikwanda, I'll be able to construct crossing points. Why? Because the Minister of Finance has made a saving. Instead of saving the debt which our colleagues left, we are saying now we are not going to pay those debts for now. or even if you are paying, you are paying a less principal and less interest. Mr. Speaker, this is a well-coordinated way of running government. Mr. Speaker, let me talk about the issue of cadreism. Let's look at the way we are living now. I'm able to walk from where I go and talk to Honorable Kampion. Previously, he was untouchable.
Oh, may you take your seat?
Yes.
Honorable member.
Those days, I was not,
Take your seat, honorable member.
those days, I was not going to.
Honorable member, let's avoid debating each other.
Thank you.
Let's stick to the presidential debate.
Thank you very much.
You can
Mr. Speaker.
continue.
What I'm saying is, previously, I would not be able to go to intercity just because I'm from Western Province. Immediately they know that this person is coming from UPND, I'll be slaughtered. I will not be able to go even to city center with a t-shirt written UPND. Now, Mr. Speaker, if you go to town or any compound in Lusaka, you'll find people who are dressed in it. PF Regalia, UPND, the Socialist Party, they are able to mingle around even where they want to go. They can mingle around, no problem. That's the way we want to live in Zambia. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Thank you. The honorable member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice on behalf of the people of Mpika and the party that sponsored me, the Patriotic Front. Mr. Speaker, the President on page 1 of his speech stated that development is not a straightforward journey. We must begin from there, Mr. Speaker, and what should have followed this admission is an apology to the Zambian people, and even all the proponents of Bari will fix it should have followed the suit to apologize for the Zambian people for having misled them in 2021 general elections. Mr. Speaker, the role of government is to harness and distribute national resources equitably. The question that must be answered right now is Zambia short of resources? The answer is a categorical no. Zambia has abundant natural resources that must be harnessed and enhance service delivery for our people. Zambia has minerals such as sugilite, gold, diamond, cobalt, among other minerals that can be sold, Mr. Speaker, and change the lives of our people. This government prides itself in borrowing, and so far they have borrowed $6 billion US. Instead of them harnessing our resources and pay debt, they are celebrating debt restructuring, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you talk of FISIP, it was on this floor of the House that we were told by the Agriculture Minister to go and inform the Zambian people, to go and inform people in our constituencies that this government would abolish the Farmer Input Support Program and replace it with the agriculture loans. As members of parliament, we went flat out, informed our people. Now that they have felt the pressure, they have U-turned, and they want to sustain the narrative which the president says they want to bring what he's calling CASIP. Mr. Speaker, how many of our farmers...
Order, honorable member. I think let me guide the House. I was attentive that day to avoid misleading the public. The minister on the floor of the House said the FISIP will run concurrently with the loan scheme. He didn't say, order. I heard that. So it's good not to mislead the people out there. He said that the FISIP program will run concurrently with the loan scheme. That is yet to be introduced. So as we debate, let's be very factual and let's avoid misleading the public for political expedience. You can continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our people in rural areas, farmers, small-scale farmers, 1 million small-scale farmers, are the ones who are driving the agriculture sector of our country. Those of commercial farmers in Mukusho or elsewhere, when they produce, they export what they produce. And our nation is fed by small-scale farmers. When government decides to tamper with FISIP, they will be punishing small-scale farmers who are actually making a livelihood from farming. Those farmers in Kasenga, in Mpika, those farmers in Mulilansoro, in Chinsari, those farmers in Shiwangandu. This government should not tamper with FISIP, and they should not even take that route of tampering with FISIP. Mr. Speaker, the president here postured himself as a person that has delivered development massively. Let me talk about one issue. The issue of Great North Road from Serenje to Chinsari. It's a death trap. 2 years this government has been at the helm, and nothing has been done literally. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is the issue of Mpika-Nabwaria Road, from Mpika to Nabwaria. When the president promised the people of Nabwaria that when I form government the first 6 months, I will do Mpika-Nabwaria Road. And a lot of projects in Mchinga province, northern and in Wapula, have stalled, Mr. Speaker. When the president says he has delivered, the question that must be answered is where has he delivered that development? Where has that development been delivered? Mr. Speaker, it is also baffling that you have people who are claiming on the floor of the House that they have actually not seen what the Patriotic Front government under the leadership of the late President Michael Chilufya and President Dr. Edgar Chagwa have did in 10 years. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, a few days ago I was in Western Province. A road from Mongo to Kalaba was done by the Patriotic Front. As I'm speaking right now, we have a specialized hospital which is dealing with the organs such as hearts, kidneys, among other things, Mr. Speaker. These are the things that the Patriotic Front did. You must up your game so you match the delivery record of that government under those two sons of the soul. Dr. Edgar Chagwa, the surviving former head of state, wherever you are, we say to you, we are grateful for the job that you did for our motherland. Mr. Speaker, the infrastructure development under the Patriotic Front was unprecedented. And it is actually headache-giving when you hear the head of state says he has delivered. When you go to Mchinga, you go to Northern, you go to Nwapura, there is nothing. Even when they talk of Kasama Airport, they found it at 80% completion, Mr. Speaker. They have only added 20% and they want to celebrate and beat drums over that project, Mr. Speaker. It's laughable. Mr. Speaker, the 129 secondary schools mentioned in the presidential speech do not even exist anywhere. They are only an imagination, Mr. Speaker. If they existed, then why are they not in Muchinga province? Why are they not in Northern province? Why are they not in Lusaka province? Why are they not in Central province? Where are they? We can't see them. Representatives of the people in here are asking, where are they, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, as I'm talking, we have this government undertaking mobile national registration exercise in 3 provinces. Discriminating other provinces as if we do not have children who want to acquire NRCs. Mr. Speaker, we want this government to answer. So when the president talks about unity, is that something that will unite us? The answer is no. Mr. Speaker, we have the issue of high cost of living. The prices of meal have gone up. Prices of essential commodities have gone up. The Zambian people were adopted to believe that this government would reduce the high cost of living. Right now, we are buying a bag of meal at 350 kwacha. And this government, that's the more reason why they must apologize to the Zambian people, Mr. Speaker. From 17 kwacha a liter of fuel, now that we are buying it at 30 kwacha. It has never happened in the history of this country. Even those two Pamelas cooking oil, Mr. Speaker, when they were moving, they had these. We have these. Even this one is costing a lot of money.
Honorable member, take your seat. Honorable members, you of all the people, you know that our rules don't allow. Our rules don't allow. So it's a practice that maybe is rehearsed, because a few days ago, someone brought meal. And there's already precedence for whoever brings in materials that are not allowed on the floor of the House. So to avoid such, I think we should avoid doing that we know is wrong, because precedence is already there. So if any measure is instituted, the same people, you'll be complaining. I think the sergeant at arms ensure that we up our game going forward, because this issue of bringing things that are not allowed on the floor should be stopped. So, Honorable Member, you can continue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. What I was saying is this government must reduce the high cost of living. We need meal for 50 kwacha, Mr. Speaker, as was promised. We need a liter of fuel costing 9 kwacha, as was promised, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Take your seat. Honorable Member for Dudumwezi.
Make sure that you clear this useless stuff. They have got money in their constituency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to debate on the motion on the floor. Mr. Speaker, first of all, allow me to thank the people of Dundumwezi and Katandawad in particular for their unwavering support on the 7th of September, where Councillor Kuyandamalo became unopposed. This is an indication, Mr. Speaker, that the people of Dundumwezi are not looking on the shoulders as who to take development to their areas. It's clear that the New Dawn government is the party and the government to ensure that the people of Dundumwezi are supported. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, allow me also to pay my heartfelt condolences to the Mudenda family in Dundumwezi constituency for the demise of Honorable Mudenda, who was a member of parliament in this house from 2001 to 2006. And I wish that his soul rests in peace. Mr. Speaker, it's quite unfortunate that we have colleagues who are known to be quite knowledgeable, failing this time around to debate this motion. Maybe let me start to state where we are coming from. Mr. Speaker, this country is coming from a scenario where we had heads of state coming here promising this nation 650 health posts. And out of 650 health posts, Dundumwezi and a number of constituencies never got not even a single health post. We are coming from a scenario, Mr. Speaker, where a head of state comes here and says over 50 people lost their lives during the gassing period. And is stating that we shall ensure that all the perpetrators are brought to book. As I stand here, Mr. Speaker, it's sad that a lot of people died and very few, if any, were brought to book. I heard a colleague just now saying that certain regions are being not given NRCs. I wish to state that they gave children who were 13 years old, so they gave children in advance.
6 years.
So why do they want NRCs if their children were given in advance? Why?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Mr.
Point of
Speaker,
order.
Your hair has grown. Just
it is in public domain that we have a number of former government officers
Honorable
who are
member,
actually...
honorable member on the floor, let's
Yes, Mr.
ensure
Speaker.
that we stick to the presidential speech to avoid contravening. You can continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We are coming from a situation, Mr. Speaker, where FRA almost became defunct. They were failing to pay our farmers on time. We are coming from a situation, Mr. Speaker, where one of your members who attended a function in his own constituency was attacked in the presence of the former vice president. We are coming from a situation, Mr. Speaker, where a lady was stripped off naked in the presence of the former vice president. Mr. Speaker, where are we today?
as you can see.
Mr. Speaker, we are at a point where the Zambian people now have started appreciating the peace that we are enjoying. We are at a situation, Mr. Speaker, where CDF has been increased. What is the multiplier effect of the CDF, Mr. Speaker? I want to state that some of them are saying that the speech is not inspiring. To some extent, I want to agree with them. I want to agree with them. These are the people, Mr. Speaker, who have formed their own companies, and instead of distributing CDF to their members to benefit, the CDF is going into their pockets. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
Order. Order.
Mr. Speaker,
Order. Let me guide. Honorable member for Dudumwezi. Let's not talk about things that we can't substantiate. Let's stick to this beautiful copy of a speech. The content of this speech should make the basis of your debate. So let's ensure that we concentrate on the presidential speech. Don't say things that the president didn't say. Your speech should be related to, your debate should be related to the presidential speech. You can continue.
much obliged, Mr. Speaker. Then I want to ask myself a question, or ask them a question. Why is it that, Mr. Speaker, the people where they come from are not benefiting? Where is the money going? Just last week, Mr. Speaker, we heard one member of parliament stating that the president was misled by the technocrats because actually Actually, the former regime stopped buying desks outside the country long time ago. And he only gave one company that was distributing. So the question is, how many companies are benefiting from desk manufacturing today? Just in Dundumwezi, we have 3.
In 1
3. We have created employment around our constituency. We are in a situation,
Order,
Mr.
you
Speaker,
said in Dudumwezi, how many?
3 companies.
Why?
And in the previous government, there was only one company that was benefiting from desk manufacturing. According to the statement that came from them. The entire country.
Yes.
But when I talk about Dundumwezi, we have 3 youth groups that are manufacturing desks, and they are getting a lot of money from CDF. Mr. Speaker, from CDF, as I stand here, we have 29 companies that we have given jobs to contracts. Where is the money going? In the pockets of the people in Dundumwezi. Now, it's those who don't believe in what they're saying. Let them wait for a while, Mr. Speaker, for them to believe what we say. Wait for the budget. So that you can see the connectivity. You are unable to see, because last time you were saying, where will the money come from to recruit 30,000 teachers? So there you are. 30,000 teachers were recruited. So for you to believe what the new dawn is going to do for you, wait for the budget. Wait for the budget, then you will see the connectivity.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Dudumwezi, you are very happy. You are saying 3. 3 are not enough. In Wangeni, there are 30 groups. The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke in the Eastern Province. Mr. Speaker, we want to thank the President for coming to this House to update the nation of the happenings. I'll start first with the rule of law, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the President talked about rule of law. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Talked about rule of law. Mr. Speaker, from here, the rule of law is not being implemented. Just from here, you find that people just who are managing the affairs of parliament, they want
Honorable Member,
now to...
Honorable Member, take your seat.
Yes.
Honorable Member, I know you are a whip, and you know that you don't debate the House. That's contempt of the House. You don't debate the House. So desist from debating the House, because that's being contemptuous. And it has got its own repercussions. So continue debating.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I withdraw that the parliament, they do things to according to certain grouping. I withdraw that. Madam, Mr. Speaker. Yes, you can be madam. Because you are madam. Mr. Speaker, the rule of law, which the President talked about, his appointees, Mr. Speaker, they are the ones who are on forefront to break it. Imagine where the PS of local government come up with his own decision to change the constitution from his house. forgetting that the constitution can be only changed here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under Local Government Act, Mr. Speaker, there's an act which the guidelines for CDF are. But him, from just dreaming, he changes that, forgetting that we are guided by the Constitution, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, who are you referring to?
The PS local government, for local government, PS Nicholas Piri, who changed the...
Why do you include people that are not here? People that can't defend themselves?
No, it's happening in the country. That's why we are debating them.
Your
because
rules, honorable member, take your seat. You should take time to read the guide of your stay in Parliament, which is the standing orders. Let's take time to read them. The PS you are referring to cannot defend himself, and our rules don't allow even. Even if he was to defend himself, our rules don't allow. So there's a presidential speech that you have to stick to. Ensure that, that's why they were given a few days ago, so that you have ample time to read and understand. If need be that other people should help in interpreting, there was that time. So let's ensure that we stick to the presidential speech. You can continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I understand very much about the standing order, but even just your people on your right, they are failing to understand the standing order, because the standing order is very clear to say no one should debate while seated, but you allow them. Mr. Speaker, the President talked about CDF. CDF is a good thing. It's a good thing, and the good people of Petauke, they are very happy about this CDF. But, Mr. Speaker, the Petauke Central Constituency CDF account is loaded with money from 2020, 2021, 2022, even 2023. But the people who the President appointed so that they can be implemented, I wish the President came here and warned them that if they are not working, they will be fired. But we wish next time when he comes, he should warn those people whom he appointed, so that they should start implementing. Because we can't keep on, the people of Petauke, they're expecting to benefit from CDF. But the people who are benefiting from CDF, it's the banks. Every day they are benefiting through bank interest, which the good people of Petauke, I'm sure they are crying. They don't even know. I'm told the CDF, for me, when it was announced, I knew to say CDF, it's a game changer. But the good people of Petauke, they can't see it to be a game changer because of the people the President appointed who are blocking the utilization of CDF. Right now, when you go to Petauke Central Constituency, Mr. Speaker, the roads, we approved to do the roads. We approved
Honorable member.
to construct.
Order, honorable member. You know very well for sure that the President, there's no one he has appointed to implement CDF in Petauke. The composition of your committee, you appoint more than 70% of it. So, I don't know, I don't want to be part of your debate. I don't know why you're blaming that committee. I don't know, and avoid bringing the President in your debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I, Honorable Jeff Banda, I'm a researcher, and I've well researched that the people who are not implementing, it's not the committee from Petauke, but it's a committee from province, which is under the Minister of Eastern Province and the PS of Eastern Province, who not long ago were all cadres.
Now I don't know how many times you can guide this member.
So I don't know, maybe they're being blocked on political groupings line. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about schools, right now in my constituency, people are running under the trees. Under the trees. Yeah. It's because the people you appointed, they're failing into us as CDF when we approve, they're failing to implement. So why are you debating seated and then the speaker is watching you?
Honorable member,
Yeah.
concentrate on your debate and let's avoid running comments. Honorable members, let's avoid running comments. We give more time to Honorable Banda to debate. You can continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the schools, there's long distance. Children are covering 20 kilometers just to access CDF or to access schools. And under CDF, we approved 18 schools to be constructed. Health post, 18 health posts to be constructed. And the money is there. But the people under the leadership of the Minister Eastern Province, they're blocking.
Honorable member, take your seat. Take your seat. I guided you earlier. You don't have to bring... We don't debate each other, all to say. You don't have to debate your colleague. Debate the presidential speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your guidance. It's only that they are blocking the roadmap of the president. Mr. Speaker, about mines, our natural resources. Our natural resources, Mr. Speaker. Our natural resources, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Mine, they have got geological reports all over the country. And each mine here in Zambia, they have got the geological report which indicates how many minerals are there. But the Minister of Mine, I don't know what they are doing, is just seated. You find that the mining company will only declare maybe copper, maybe cobalt, that's all. But these other minerals are leaving the country freely. And then we are suffering, we are saying that we are failing to subsidize meal, whilst the money is going every day. So we are asking that the Minister of Mine should up the game to protect the resources of our country so that at least even the poor should benefit. It should be a trickling down effect on our resources. Not only the people like them just enjoying, Mr. Speaker. With those few, you who is enjoying? with those few remarks, I'll ask Honorable Mwandi, him is enjoying, but his people are suffering. Yes, him.
Order.
It's her and him. Thank you, Madam.
Order. The Honorable Member for Chembe.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to allow the people of Chembe to also echo a voice on this presidential speech. Mr. Speaker, my debate will only zero in on one thing, that is environmental sustainability vis-à-vis economic sustainability. Mr. Speaker, Zambia's economy continues to underutilize the natural resources. We continue to underutilize the natural resources as if we are under economic sanctions. Mr. Speaker, it should be borne in our mind that environmental sustainability, there is a relationship with economic sustainability. These two moves in tandem because all the resources that we need to develop the economy is got from this environment. Mr. Speaker, Zambia as a whole, it is business as usual, where we are saying it's borrowing. Mr. Speaker, the world order is now changing, and the world is coming to say we need to be doing domestic financing.
Order. As the time is 1840 hours, I interrupt the proceedings and debate stands adjourned. Day for resumption of debate.
Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker.
Debate to resume tomorrow. The House is now adjourned.
Television and the business for today has been concluded. Of course, we had Chamber Member of Parliament, Mr. Clifford Mpundu, who was on the floor adding his voice to the motion of thanks that is being debated on the floor of the House. And for today, we have a look at what has been discussed on the floor of the House before we end our live transmission. Remember that we have a repeat of today's program later in the evening.
Yes, when business resumed at 14:30 hours, there were two announcements. In the first announcement, Madam Speaker informed the House that in accordance with the provisions of Standing Orders number 166.5, she had made some adjustments to the composition of some of the committees, and some of which included Public Accounts Committees, Committee on Delegated Legislation, Committee on Media, Information and Communication Technologies, Committee on Education, Science and Technology, Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services, Committee on Local Governance, Housing and Chiefs Affairs, Committee on Cabinet Affairs, Committee on Transport, Works and Supply, Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters, Committee on National Guidance and Gender Matters, and Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs.
Yes, after the announcement on the changes that have been made to the committees, Madam Speaker went on to make another announcement in which informed the House that the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, CWP Africa Region, which is an organ of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, with the objective of promoting gender equality and equity in the work of CPA, has a steering committee which consists of a chairperson, vice chairperson, and 4 regional representatives, one from each of the 4 sub-regions, namely Central, East, West, and Southern Africa. Madam Speaker said that at the end of the 85th CPA Africa Region Executive Committee, which was held in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania from 2nd to 7th August 2023, 3 positions of the CWP Africa Region fell vacant, and these were the chairperson, Vice Chairperson, and Central Africa CWP representatives. And she further said that in line with the leadership rotation, in line with the leadership rotation adopted by CWP, the above positions will be distributed as follows. The position of chairperson has rotated to East Africa sub-region, and B, the position of vice chairperson had rotated to the Central Africa sub-region, and C, the position of CWP Central Africa sub-region representatives had rotated to Zambia. And in this regard, the CPA Zambia branch executive held a meeting on Wednesday, 6th September 2023, and resolved to nominate Honorable Imelda Munashaban to Member of Parliament for Mapatizia as CWP Central Africa Region representative for the period 2023 to 2026, and therefore Ms. Munashabantu MP will be unveiled at the business meeting of the CWP Africa Region to be held virtually tomorrow, which is 20th September 2023 at 10 hours. She therefore congratulated Ms. Munashabantu MP for her well-deserved nomination, and also urged all female members of parliament to attend and participate in the important meeting which will take place tomorrow.
Thereafter, the House went on to consider 5 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. And the first question came from Kanchibia Member of Parliament, Mr. Sunday Chanda, and he directed his question to the Minister of Transport and Logistics. He wanted to find out a question in 3 parts. What measures the government is taking to ensure that the Great Lakes region becomes one of the Zambia major export markets. And according to the minister's response, he did say that some of the measures as follows. Government has established strong bilateral relations with the countries in Great Lakes region, including Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, among others. And the second measure is that hosting of road shows and regional trade fairs to ensure market access for Zambian products and resources. In the B part of the question, the Member of Parliament wanted to find out how the government intends to use Mpulungu Harbour as a gateway to the Great Lakes region. And the minister responded to say that government, through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, has embarked on the modernization and the expansion of the harbour. And in the C part of the question, the Member of Parliament wanted to find out whether the government has any plans to create shorter routes from the Copper Belt and Northwestern provinces to Mpulungu Harbour to enable faster transportation of goods. And according to the minister's response, he did say that a shorter route to Mpulungu Harbour already exists via the Pedico Road through Mansa, Luwingu, Kasama, and Mbala.
And after that, the House went on to consider question 32, which came from Chama North Member of Parliament, Mr. Yota Mutayachalo, and he posed a question to the Minister of Health, in which he wanted to find out when the government will repair the CT scan machine at the University Teaching Hospital, which has not been working since August 2020. And the B part of the question, he wanted to know what the cause of the delay has been in repairing the machine. And in response, the Minister of Health indicated to the House that government will repair the CT scan machine at UTH this year in 2023. And the B part of the question, the Minister indicated to the House that the cause of the delay was due to inadequate funds, inadequate funds allocated for procurement, maintenance, and servicing of medical equipment in the 2020 and the 2021 financial years.
Question number 33 came from Kawata Member of Parliament, Mr. Andrew Taengwa, and he posed this question to the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. He wanted to find out a question in 2 parts, whether the government has any plans to construct staff houses at the following police posts in Kawata Parliamentary Constituency, that's Maxwell Siwongo, Mary Mwango, Godfrey Mianda, and Lakson Mapushi. And the minister did respond to say that government has plans to provide housing infrastructure for all police posts across the country, including the aforementioned police post. And in the B part of the question, he wanted to find out if so, when the plans will be implemented. And the minister did responded to say that implementation of the plans at the 4 police posts will be done once funds are made available.
And question number 34 came from Mandev Member of Parliament, Mr. Shaka Fuswa, and he wanted to find out from the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts, and wanted to know whether government has any plans to to construct a stadium in Mandevu parliamentary constituency, and if so, when the plans will be implemented and what the total cost of the project would be. And in response, the minister informed the House that there are no plans at all to construct a stadium in Mandevu constituency, and that there are no plans, hence this will not be implemented. And the last part of the question, when he asked about the cost, the minister indicated to the House that the cost has not been costed because the ministry has no plans to construct a stadium.
Question number 35 came from Lufwanyama, Member of Parliament, Mr. Sia Chisumo, and he posed this question to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. He wanted to find out whether the government has any plans to tar the Chief Nkana Kajema Road in Lufwanyama district. And according to the minister's response, he did say that government has plans to upgrade the bitumen as a standard the Chief Nkana Kajema Road. And in the B part of the question, he wanted to find out if so when the plans will be implemented. And the minister did say that the tarring of the road will be undertaken when the treasury sources the required funding. And in the C part of the question, if so, if there are no such plans, why? And the minister did say that government has plans.
And after the questions for oral answer, the House went on to consider, actually to debate the motion of thanks that was moved by Sefulo, Member of Parliament for Mwandi, that the thanks of this assembly be recorded for public exposition of public policy contained in the President's address to the House on 8th September 2023. And of course, this motion was seconded by Kafulafuta, Member of Parliament, Mr. Mlewa. And we've seen a number of members of Parliament continue to add their voice to this motion. We had today Lundazi, Member of Parliament, Brenda Nyirenda. We also had the Leader of Opposition, Mr. Brian Munduvire. We also had Mwembeshi, Member of Parliament, Jampa Machila, and also Nyimba of Parliament, Mr. Menyani Zulu.
We also had Isoka, Member of Parliament, Ms. Marjorie Nakaponda. Pongwe, Member of Parliament, also added his voice to this motion. We also had Chama South, Member of Parliament, Mr. Davison Mungandu. Pemba, Member of Parliament, Mr. Lamek Hamwata. Chinsali, Member of Parliament, also added his voice to this motion. We also had Solowezi East, Member of Parliament, Mr. Alex Katakwe. Muchinga, Member of Parliament, also Mr. Emmanuel Banda added his voice.
And others included Maureen Mabongamfu, a Member of Parliament, Nalikwanda, Member of Parliament, Konwa Simunji, and Mr. Francis Kapianga, Member of Parliament from Pika. Others were Dundumwezi, Member of Parliament, Mr. Edgar Singombe, Petauke Central, Member of Parliament, Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda, and Mr. Clifford Mpundu, Member of Parliament for Chembe, who was on the floor of the House at the time business of the House was disrupted for today.
And so that is basically business that has been considered on the floor of the House today, Tuesday, 19th September 2023. On behalf of the entire production team, thank you so much for your viewership. And just to make a mention that our broadcasting hours have been extended to 22 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television and have a blessed evening.
on the Vice President's question time.
Questions for oral answer understanding order number 76.
For a matter to be admitted, it has to be of recent occurrence.
Continue watching Parliament TV, a channel dedicated to bring Parliament closer to you.
My full names are Peter Simon Piri, Member of Parliament for Malambo constituency in Malambo. My education background is not as the people may expect. I only went up to grade 12 and did a certificate in business administration. And apparently in 1997, I worked in private sector as a storeman under training, and I also worked in accounts as a clerk. From there, I only actually worked in the private sector for 3 years. So I have little experience in accounts and in stores management. That's all I have as in the working culture. I am married. I got married in 1997. I've got 3 children with my wife, 2 girls and 1 boy. Those are the children I have. And the 2 girls, one is at the University of Zambia. The other one is with Apex University. Actually, she's completing this year. She's doing a pharmacist. And the other one is in grade 12. And I also have another child. He's also doing grade 12. The rest of my children are doing grade 12. My constituency actually is a valley, and the major economic activity in the valley is tourism. And apart from tourism, there is also farming is one major activity that our people do in my constituency. Apparently, we are trying to do a shift from depending on tourism to other sectors which our people can run. With the coming of CDF, there's a lot that we want to explore as a constituency. We want to make sure that people can stand on their own other than depending on formal employment that they get from these private sectors. And security, especially in terms of these private sectors, there's no much security that you may get in employment. You'd find that these lodges, the tour operators may close a camp, and those people, they remain vulnerable. So we want also to sensitize our people that they can stand on their own using the CDF fund that has been brought to us. As you may be aware, there is a component of grants. Although we have noticed the trend that is happening in the grants, that when you give people, women or the young ones, the youth, they are sharing that money instead of investing that money into the activity that they propose on the forms that they present to the council. Upon receiving the money, some of them are just ending up sharing that money. So in this case, we want to urge our people to be focused, because that is part of government program that is being put forward, that we help the unemployed so that they can sustain themselves other than waiting for the government to employ them. And I would want to make a mention that government cannot employ everyone. Government has got its own budget to recruit people. Now, our government, through the able leadership of the President Hakainde Hichilema, introduced the huge sum of money in each constituency, in 156 constituencies, which is 28.3 million where it's sitting. So we want our people to take advantage of this CDF money through the loans and the grants, because the good part of a grant is you don't pay it back, but you'll have the council to come and just monitor and supervise and advise on how you can run the projects that you have. The development agenda in Malambo, I will tell you, we've been lagging behind in Malambo. We have had many MPs in the past, but we haven't seen much coming from the past successful governments that have been there. Now, with the coming of this CDF, my agenda for Malambo constituency is to make sure that we have enough water points in the area, not the hand pump boreholes. We want now to put reticulated water. We put up a stand, we put a tank and everything so that we can run water in long distances and decongest a borehole. This is the more reason why you'd find that we have kept on maintaining the same boreholes that were drilled even in the previous governments. It's because it's congested in one area. But if you put a reticulated system, you'd find that there will be so many points where people will be drawing water from. So it will be a lasting one. And more to say is that we have enough sunlight, which God gave us. So we'll be using the solar pumps. They are all over now, from China, from the UK, from wherever. So it's up to us to pick the most durable ones that we can use in those boreholes. And again, as I'm speaking today, I'm expecting to receive earth-moving machines that are coming from here, Lusaka. We procured using CDF because we've seen, being in the valley, we experience floods in most instances. So we need to keep on maintaining our roads. The roads are terrible. It's very difficult for our farmers actually to transport their produce when they harvest because of the bad terrains and the roads. So what we have done now, we have procured this, and we want to make sure that we have the all-weather roads in around the area. You will see it. It will be happening very soon. Once these machines are in Malambo, we'll actually call the people to come and receive their equipment, because it's not my equipment, it's the equipment for the people, because it will be doing the work for our people. And we want to urge the people through the councils that we should look after these machines jealously, and we are not going to allow the council to start hiring them outside the district. Each constituency has got a 28.3 million kwacha. So why should we have people from Chipata getting our equipment? So we are not going to allow that. Within the district, as long as it's related with works to be done in our area, we will allow that one. Any social development towards our area, we will allow that one to happen. So this is the more reason why we are very happy as a New Dawn government that the President of the Republic of Zambia enhanced, this government enhanced this CDF to that level. We are very happy. As I am speaking today, we have given the youth, they are making about 1,900 desks that are going into the schools, various schools that have no desks. So we have made sure that these desks go to the respective schools that have no desks. And as we sit in the next CDF meeting, we want to also budget for 9,000 desks, because the president has given a directive that by the end of 2023, no child should sit on the floor. And it's quite disheartening. You can imagine during this season, it's very cold, and you find a child sitting on the floor. I was in my constituency a week ago. I went to one of the schools. It's a nice school built, a 1x2. There was absolutely no desk, not even a table, a teacher's table and a chair. There was nothing. So I was very sad, because we had free education during the time of Kaunda. I also benefited from that. Of course, we were sitting on the desks, and we want to make sure that our children, for them to learn well, they must have the proper desks and learning space also. We are also constructing schools. Apparently, as I'm speaking here, we are building a 1x3 classroom block from the same CDF 2022, which will be handed over probably by the end of this month. It will be handed over. It's a school which was upgraded by our colleagues in the PAF in 2018, and nothing was done. There was nothing. And with the coming of this government, we said you cannot just upgrade the school without structures. So we said that is the first thing we are going to do, and we have given them a 1x3 classroom block. And this classroom block, as we hand it over, we want it to be fully furnished, meaning it must have the desks, it must have everything, and then we hand it over to the school so that our children can learn from there. You know, as the people say, or the English say, education is a better equalizer, and it is true. And that is the more reason why you find all of us sitting in that house discussing national matters. It's as a result of the education, and that's the more reason why the president thought of reintroducing the free education so that every child from very rural areas and any other place can acquire this education. Let's look after the properties that government is procuring, more especially the desks that are being manufactured by our own people in the constituencies, the structures that are being built using their money. It's not our money, it's their money, taxpayers' money that is coming to their constituencies. I want to urge them to guard them jealously, that no vandal should come to destroy those properties that we are putting up as a community in that area.
You made man out of dirt and raised him from the dead. Oh, you spoke life into dry bones and caused the blind to see. For that, Lord, I am fearless. I am fearless. Moi vumbile chalo na mashu. Mwe babusha na bakwa wishiwi. Mwe balimbusha ne kuto mumushini. Nishakatale. ikalapo mabulili ngabakale babitile mulilo mwefumu duniani ngakuti mwaibukisha ulwa mailo imwe mwefumu nineadi. I am fearless. I am fearless. Twalichinya mumfumu, twalichinya kale mumfumu, twalichinya mumfumu, twalichinya kale mumfumu. Wishing alienu nengumba chilakyala. Mwe balenga nempofu kumwone fiko pele sani mwe. Mungana yenu yawe nasanga mwe sasa. Mwe bawamya nemimonekele ya mukola mfula ni mwe. Chinya mumfumu. Mwebavumbile chalo namashiwi, mwebabushana bafwa wishiwi, mwebalimbusha mbuto mumushili, nshakatale ikalapo kumbabuli.
I speak, I say, mountains be moved. Valley of death, I will walk right through. I live by faith, all I see is you. Jehovah Nissi, yeah, yeah. Enemies I face, fight my every move. On my knees I Mother, for all that you have been and for all that you are, I thank you. And with all that I am, I love you. This one is for you. Mayo, nimwe inyali andi pano panshi, nimwe tata. Mayo, kwati Solomoni, imfumu iya kwati shamano. Ubushiku, nafuke mepanka sashove mayo, no kutasha, pafintu wanchitila, no kulomba, uwelelo papio na kulufyanya, fyonse, mayo atile. Kanshafika ko, ine, kumulo ilelo we mwana, nafika ko, ina naishiva, ukaticha chinde, wamweo, wakumulu, nikakuluke, fyonse ifyaka kwa we mwana, fyonse, umweo, shaishire, ushikumo, ukafika, umweo ati, umweo ati, uwapala, ulenda wino, amashina, bakwitile mayo, ifintu wapitilemo, bakufyalwa kwandi, bamwansa, ifilamba mwaponeshe imisowa mwalilile, bakuti inembe, kumukoreko, no mwana obe munu mamayo, mumakululu, nentampulo shove, ifyo wanchingilila, kubalwani mayo, amapepo, ayo, upepa, mayo wanshali, ine, kumulo ilelo we mwana, nafika ko, ine naishiva, ukaticha chinde, leso wamweo, nikakuluke, yonse ifyaka kwa we mwana, mumweo, shaishire, ushikumo, ukafika, mumweo ati, uwapala, lesa, intukesala, amensoyo bemayo nokulola, ukwaba batata, ukabebe, umwana wenu alikula, kabili embila, kabumba wakwe, ifyuma, wanshila pachalo, tafipenda.